I bought my own house after everyone betrayed me. Now my sister, ex-wife, and parents are furious. I refuse to let them back in. My brother Lucas always called me the family screw-up. When I dropped out of college to start a landscaping business, he literally laughed. "Have fun cutting grass while I make real money in finance," he said at Christmas dinner. My parents nodded along like gospel truth. Lucas graduated summa cum laude, landed a hotshot investment position, bought a downtown condo. Meanwhile, I drove a beat-up Ford with Anderson Landscaping magnetic signs. Family gatherings became Lucas's roast sessions. "Still playing in the dirt," he'd say, flashing his Rolex. "Maybe one day you'll get a real job." I'd sit there eating mashed potatoes while everyone laughed, like I was the punchline to some ongoing family joke. My mom would pat my hand and say, "Well, at least you're doing something with your time," like that was supposed to make me feel better. 3 years later, Lucas's world imploded. Market crash wiped out his firm. His condo got foreclosed. I watched him move back into our childhood bedroom with glow-in-the-dark star stickers still on the ceiling. That's when the calls started. "Could you spot me $500? Just until I get back on my feet." His voice was different now, desperate, like he was choking on the words. I helped him out. Family, right? But Lucas had conditions. "Don't tell anyone you're lending me money. It's embarrassing enough without people knowing my landscaper brother is keeping me afloat." So, I stayed quiet while Lucas spun stories about consulting opportunities and being between projects. At family dinners, he still made digs about my grass-cutting business while I secretly paid his phone bill, car insurance, even gym membership for networking. The loans kept coming. $1,000 for professional wardrobe, $1,500 for certification courses, $2,000 for a business opportunity that never materialized. Each time just between us, okay? I'd transfer the money and watch him at family dinners, all smiles and confidence, talking about his next big move while I nodded like an idiot. What my family didn't know was my little business had evolved. I wasn't mowing suburban lawns anymore. I was designing complete outdoor environments for tech executives, luxury hotels, million-dollar developments. My crew of 12 could transform properties in ways that made rich people write 5-figure checks without blinking. I had contracts with 3 major resort chains, did the landscaping for that new boutique hotel downtown, the one Lucas posted about on Instagram, calling it architectural perfection. Lucas thought landscaping meant push mowers and leaf blowers. He had no idea I was pulling in more monthly revenue than his old finance job ever did. I kept my mouth shut, wore the same jeans to family dinners, drove the same truck, let them think what they wanted. Last month, I closed on an $800K house in the hills. 5 bedrooms, infinity pool, 3-car garage. Paid cash, no mortgage, just my name on a deed representing 7 years of 80-hour weeks, sunburned shoulders, and calloused hands that my family loved to mock. The house had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the valley, a kitchen with marble countertops that probably cost more than Lucas's entire condo had, and a master bathroom bigger than my first apartment. Time for a family reunion. Housewarming party Saturday. I texted the group chat. "Come see the new place." Lucas expected a modest starter home, maybe a fixer-upper in the suburbs. Instead, he walked into a foyer with 20-foot ceilings and a crystal chandelier that cost more than most cars. His face went through 5 expressions in about 3 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, understanding, then this weird physical pain like he'd been punched in the stomach. "How did you afford this?" he whispered, standing there in his rumpled button-down that I'd paid for. My parents wandered around like they'd entered another dimension. Mom kept touching things like she was afraid they'd disappear or turn out to be fake. Dad stood in the middle of the living room turning in circles, taking in the custom built-ins, the sound system, the view. This is yours?" Mom asked, her voice all high and weird. "Yeah," I said. "Mine." Lucas was still frozen in the entryway. My cousin Melissa walked past him with a glass of wine, admiring the art on the walls. "Dude, this is incredible." I didn't know landscaping paid this well. "It does when you're good at it," I said, looking right at Lucas. "When you actually build something instead of just talking about it." His jaw tightened. I could see him doing the math, trying to figure out how his screw-up little brother could afford something like this. The party went on around us, people touring the house, complimenting the design, asking me questions about the business I'd apparently kept secret from everyone. "I need to show you something," I told Lucas, loud enough for everyone to hear. My parents stopped mid-conversation. Melissa paused with her wine glass halfway to her mouth. I handed him an envelope in front of the entire family. "Here's your final loan payment back, all $8,500 of it. Since you're such a successful consultant now, I figured you didn't need help from a landscaper." Dead silence. Like someone had hit mute on the entire party. You could have heard a pin drop on those expensive hardwood floors. My parents' faces were priceless, honestly. Mom's mouth literally fell open. Dad's eyes went wide, and Lucas just stood there holding the envelope like it was a bomb about to explode. "What is he talking about?" Mom asked slowly, looking between us. "For 14 months, I added helpfully, keeping my voice casual. 14 months of loans, phone bills, car insurance, gym membership, clothes, courses that went nowhere. All those consulting opportunities you kept telling everyone about? Yeah, those were me, your screw-up son keeping you afloat. Lucas tried laughing it off. This weak, horrible sound. It's not what it looks like. I was just... Thanks for teaching me to stay humble, I interrupted, looking right at him. Really taught me the value of letting work speak for itself instead of expensive ties and a Rolex you pawned 6 months ago. Melissa stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. You've been borrowing money from your brother? While making fun of him? Mom's face went white. Dad couldn't look at either of us, just stood there studying his shoes like they held the secrets of the universe. The room was so quiet you could hear the ice shifting in people's drinks. Everyone was staring at Lucas, waiting for him to explain, to defend himself, to say something that would make this make sense. That's when Lucas's phone started vibrating non-stop on the marble countertop, like aggressively vibrating, the sound echoing in the silent room. He grabbed it, read something, and his whole body went rigid. All the color drained from his face. Who else did you borrow from? I asked quietly. He didn't answer, just stared at his screen like it was a death sentence, his hand shaking so bad the phone rattled. Melissa picked up his phone from where he dropped it. Her eyes went wide, like actually wide, and she looked at Lucas with this expression of total horror. Lucas, why are you getting messages from Tony Marchetti's crew saying you have 72 hours? The party went dead silent. Everyone knew who Tony Marchetti was, even if they pretended not to. The guy who ran half the underground gambling in the city, the one who showed up in the news occasionally when someone ended up in the hospital with broken kneecaps. Lucas's face crumpled, like actually crumpled, the way a little kid's does right before they start crying. I can explain, he started, but his voice cracked halfway through. Oh my God, Mom whispered, her hand over her mouth. Lucas, what did you do? I took the phone from Melissa. The messages were right there, clear as day. Warnings, threats, numbers that made my stomach drop. One text said, "Final warning, 72 hours or we visit your family." Another one had an address attached, an address I recognized immediately because it was my parents' house. How much? I asked, keeping my voice level even though my blood was ice. Lucas finally looked at me, and I swear I've never seen him look so small. 45,000, he whispered. I owe them $45,000. Dad made this choking sound. Mom actually stumbled backward and had to catch herself on the wall. Melissa just stood there with her mouth open, frozen. Sports betting, Lucas continued, the words tumbling out now. I started when I lost my job, thought I could win it back. You know, make everything right without anyone knowing. But I kept losing. And Tony, he kept extending credit, and I genuinely thought I could turn it around. He was crying now, actual tears streaming down his face. I used your money to make partial payments. To buy time. I never meant. You used my money? I couldn't keep the anger out of my voice anymore. The money I gave you for certification courses and professional development, you gave to a loan shark to cover gambling debts? He nodded, sobbing. I didn't know what else to do, man. They were going to hurt me. They still are. I'm so fucked. I'm so completely fucked. The room stayed silent except for Lucas's crying. My parents looked shell-shocked, like they couldn't process what they were hearing. Everyone else had started edging toward the door, clearly wanting to be anywhere but here for this family meltdown. Get out, I said quietly. Lucas looked up, tears and snot running down his face. What? Get out of my house. All of you. I looked at my parents. You enabled this. You sat there at every family dinner and laughed while he tore me down, never questioning where his money was coming from, never caring that your screw-up son was the one holding this family together. Get out. Honey, please, Mom started, reaching for me. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I interrupted. There's a difference. Now leave. Before I call security. I didn't actually have security, but they didn't need to know that. People filed out in awkward silence, avoiding eye contact. Lucas stumbled toward the door, still clutching his phone, still crying. My parents followed, Mom throwing desperate looks over her shoulder like I might change my mind. Melissa was the last to leave. She paused at the door, looked back at me. I'm sorry, she said. For what it's worth, this is an amazing house. You should be proud. Then she was gone, and I was alone in my perfect house with its perfect view and its crystal chandelier, and all I could think about was how Lucas had 72 hours before Tony Marchetti's crew came for him, and how they'd threatened to visit my parents' house. I stood there for maybe 10 minutes, just breathing, trying to process what had just happened. Then I pulled out my phone and started making calls. If Lucas thought this was over, he had no idea what was coming. I had built a business from nothing, had navigated every obstacle, every setback, every person who said I'd fail. This was just another problem to solve. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and about 30 text messages. Most were from my parents. Variations of, "We need to talk," and "Please call us back," and "Your brother needs help." A few were from extended family who'd been at the party, asking if everything was okay, if Lucas was safe, if I was okay. I ignored all of them and went for a run. 5 miles through the hills, past houses almost as nice as mine, breathing in the cool morning air, trying to clear my head. When I got back, there was a car in my driveway. A beat-up Toyota I recognized immediately as belonging to my dad. He was sitting on my front steps, looking about 20 years older than he had yesterday. When he saw me, he stood up, his knees cracking. "We need to talk. I said everything I needed to say last night." "Your brother is in serious danger," Dad said, his voice rough, like he'd been crying or hadn't slept. "Probably both. Those people, Tony's people, they're not playing around. He called us this morning, scared out of his mind. He's hiding in some motel, convinced they're going to find him. That's his problem," I said, unlocking my front door. "He made his choices." Dad grabbed my arm. "Not hard, just desperate. He's your brother, please. I know we treated you badly. I know we didn't see what you were building, but he's family. You can't just abandon him." I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. "Like you abandoned me? Every time Lucas made a joke about my business? Every time he called me a failure, and you laughed? Where was family then, Dad?" He dropped his hand, his face crumpling. I know we screwed up. Your mother and I, we're so sorry. We got caught up in Lucas's success, in the image of it, and we stopped seeing you. We stopped seeing what you were doing. But please, don't let him get hurt because of our mistakes." "Did Lucas tell you what he did?" I asked, my voice flat. "Did he tell you he gave Tony's crew my address? That he told them I was a rich target? That they could rob me to buy him more time? They ransacked my house 2 days ago, Dad. Broke in while I was at work, stole about 15 grand worth of electronics, jewelry, everything they could carry. You want to know how I knew it was connected to Lucas?" He left a voicemail confessing. Dad's face went gray. Like, actually gray, all the blood draining out of it. He what? "Check your texts," I said, pulling up the voicemail on my phone and hitting play. Lucas's voice filled the air between us, panicked and slurred. "I'm so sorry, man, I'm so sorry. I told them about your house, about the party, about how much money you must have. I just needed more time. I needed them to back off. I'll pay you back. I swear. I'll figure something out. Just please don't tell Mom and Dad, please." The voicemail cut off. Dad stood there, staring at my phone, his jaw slack. "So yeah," I continued, pocketing my phone, "your golden child threw me under the bus to save his own ass. And now you want me to help him? To what? Pay off his gambling debts so he can do it all over again in 6 months? No thanks. There's more," Dad said quietly, and something in his tone made me pause. "What?" "Your mother and I, we refinanced the house last year. Took out a home equity loan for 80 grand. We told you it was for renovations, remember? New roof, updated kitchen?" I remembered. They'd shown me pictures of contractors, paint samples, the whole thing. "You gave it to Lucas." Dad nodded, his eyes wet. "He said he had a business opportunity, a sure thing. He was so convincing, so confident. We thought we were helping him get back on his feet. The money's gone, all of it. And now we're stuck with a loan we can barely afford on your dad's retirement and your mom's part-time income." "Jesus Christ," I whispered. "We're at risk of losing the house," Dad continued, and now he was crying, actual tears rolling down his weathered cheeks. "We're behind on payments. We've been trying to keep it together, trying to figure it out, but it's not working. And now Lucas is in danger. And we don't know what to do. And I know we don't deserve your help. I know we've been terrible to you, but please, he's your brother. Help him." I wanted to feel nothing. Wanted to tell him to get lost. To deal with the consequences of enabling Lucas for his entire life. But seeing my dad cry, seeing him broken and desperate on my doorstep, something in me cracked. "I'll think about it," I said finally. "Now get off my property." He left without another word, shoulders slumped, moving like every step hurt. I watched him drive away, then went inside and poured myself a whiskey, even though it was barely 9 in the morning. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "This the landscaper?" A voice I didn't recognize. Rough, casual, dangerous. "Who's asking?" "Name's Tony. I think we have a mutual friend." Well, not really a friend. More like a mutual problem. My blood went cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." Tony laughed, this low, genuinely amused sound. "Come on, don't play stupid. Lucas, your brother, the one who owes me 45 grand and thought he could use your house as a sacrifice to buy time. I gotta say, I respect the hustle, but it was a dumb move. What do you want?" "To talk, face to face. You know Roselli's? The Italian place on 5th? I know it. Meet me there. 1 hour. Come alone, obviously. Don't be stupid about this." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone for a long moment, then finished my whiskey in one burning swallow. This was insane. Meeting with a loan shark, getting involved in Lucas's mess when I should be running in the opposite direction. But I found myself getting dressed, grabbing my keys, heading out the door. Roselli's was a small Italian restaurant that had been around forever, the kind of place where regulars sat at the same table every week and the owner knew everyone's name. I'd been there a few times for business dinners, never had any trouble. Tony was waiting in a back booth, a plate of calamari in front of him. He was younger than I expected, maybe mid-40s, wearing an expensive suit and eating with his fingers like he didn't have a care in the world. When he saw me, he gestured to the seat across from him. "Sit. You hungry? The calamari here is incredible." "I'm good," I said, sliding into the booth but staying tense, ready to bolt if this went sideways. Tony studied me for a moment, chewing thoughtfully. "You don't look like your brother. He's got this desperate energy, you know, like a rat in a trap. You, though, you're calm. I like that. What do you want? Straight to business." "I respect that too." He pushed the plate aside and leaned forward. "Here's the situation. Your brother owes me $45,000. He's had months to pay, and instead of being smart about it, he's been doubling down on stupid bets, thinking he can win it back. Textbook gambler behavior. Now, normally when someone owes me this much and can't pay, there are consequences. Broken bones, torched cars, you get the idea. So break his bones," I said, keeping my voice level. "I'm not paying his debts." Tony smiled. "See, that's where it gets interesting. I did some digging on you after the boys visited your place. Turns out, you're not just some landscaper. You're pulling in serious money, legitimate money, the kind I actually respect. You built something from nothing. That takes balls. Get to the point. The point is, I don't actually want to hurt your brother. Hurting people is messy, bad for business, attracts attention I don't need. What I want is my money, and I think you and I can work out a deal that benefits both of us." I waited, not saying anything. "I pay you the 45 grand, Tony continued. "In exchange, you help me teach your brother a lesson he'll never forget. Nothing permanent, nothing that'll put him in the hospital, but enough to scare him straight. Make him understand that actions have consequences. Think of it as a public service. You get your revenge, I get my money, and your brother gets to keep his kneecaps. Everybody wins." "Why would you pay me?" "Because I like the poetry of it," Tony said, grinning. "Golden boy gets humbled by the brother he shit on for years. Plus, I've got other business with you. I've seen your work, that hotel downtown, the resort on the coast. I'm investing in a property that needs serious landscaping, and I want the best. You do this for me, I'll throw a contract your way that'll make that 45 grand look like pocket change." I should have walked away, should have told him to handle Lucas however he wanted and kept myself out of it. But sitting there, listening to Tony's offer, all I could think about was Lucas's face at the party, the 14 months of lies, my parents' enablement, the ransacked house. "What did you have in mind?" I asked. Tony's grin widened. "I knew I liked you. Here's what we're gonna do." 48 hours later, I was standing in my commercial warehouse at 3 in the morning, watching 2 of Tony's guys drag a blindfolded and terrified Lucas through the door. He was crying, actually sobbing, begging them to let him go, promising he'd get the money somehow. "Please, please, I'll sell my car. I'll borrow from someone else. Just please don't hurt me." One of Tony's guys, a massive dude named Vic, shoved Lucas into a metal chair in the middle of the warehouse floor. The sound echoed in the empty space, all concrete and shadows and the smell of fertilizer and gasoline. "You know why you're here, Lucas?" I asked, my voice distorted by the modulator Tony had given me. I sounded like something out of a horror movie, all mechanical and wrong. Lucas's head whipped toward the sound, the blindfold still covering his eyes. "Who are you? Where am I? Please, I don't have the money yet. I need more time." "You had time," the modulator made my voice say. "Months of time. You wasted it on stupid bets and lies. I'll get it, I swear. Just give me another week." Vic hit him. Not hard enough to do real damage, just enough to shut him up. A sharp slap across the face that made Lucas yelp. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued, pacing around the chair like Tony had coached me. "You're going to tell us everything. Every lie, every debt, every person you screwed over. And if you leave anything out, if you try to bullshit us even a little bit, this gets much worse for you. Understand?" Lucas nodded frantically, blood trickling from his split lip. Okay. Anything you want, just please." "Start with your brother," I said, "the landscaper. Tell us about him." Lucas went still. What? "Your brother, the one you borrowed money from, the one you made fun of, the one whose house you gave us as a target. Talk." "I didn't mean for that to happen," Lucas said, his voice breaking. "I was desperate. They were threatening me. I just thought if I gave them somewhere else to focus, I'd have more time to figure things out. He's my brother. I never wanted him to actually get hurt. I just needed breathing room." "Liar," Vic said, and hit him again. Lucas sobbed. I'm sorry. I know it was wrong. I know I'm a piece of shit. Please." We kept at it for hours, making him confess every lie, every manipulation, every time he'd used someone and thrown them away when they weren't useful anymore. Making him admit that he'd been living off my money while mocking me to our parents. That he'd known exactly what he was doing when he refinanced their house. That he'd planned to run to Arizona and leave everyone else to deal with his mess. By the time we were done, Lucas was a broken, sobbing mess in the chair, his voice hoarse from talking, his face swollen from Vic's periodic slaps. He'd confessed to everything, stuff I hadn't even known about, debts to other family members, lies to friends, even a girlfriend he'd been stringing along for her money. "Last thing," I said, my real voice now pulling off the mask. Open your eyes, Lucas. He blinked at me, confusion crossing his battered face. What? Recognition hit him like a freight train. His eyes went wide, his mouth falling open, and for a second he just stared at me in total shock. Surprise, I said softly. You, he whispered. This whole time, it was you? Every second, every question, every time you thought you were about to die, that was me. But why? His voice was barely audible. I'm your brother. How could you? How could I? I leaned down until we were face to face. You used me for over a year. You mocked me, degraded me, made me feel like nothing while I kept you alive. You stole from me. You put me in danger. You destroyed our parents' financial security. And you want to know how I could do this? Easy. I finally stopped letting you walk all over me. I pulled out the legal documents my attorney had prepared, stuff I'd never thought I'd actually use. Contracts transferring ownership of his vintage car collection, currently stored in our parents' garage, a collection worth at least 60 grand. Admission of the attempted loan fraud with my business as collateral, signed and notarized. A written agreement to leave the state permanently and never contact our family again. Sign them, I said, dropping the papers in his lap along with a pen. And if I don't? I played the recording we'd made, all his confessions about the lies, the debts, the fraud, hours of him admitting to everything he'd done, everyone he'd hurt. This goes to everyone, every family member, every friend, every business contact you've ever had. Mom and Dad hear the whole thing. Melissa hears it. Your ex-girlfriends hear it. Everyone knows exactly who you are. Lucas's hand shook as he picked up the pen. He looked at the documents, then at me, and I saw the exact moment he realized he had no choice, no leverage, no way out. He signed everything. Every page, every clause, his signature getting sloppier as he went through the stack. When he was done, I collected the documents and nodded to Vic. Tony's paid, I said. All 45 grand. Consider your debt cleared, but you're leaving tonight. Vic and his partner walked Lucas to a car, drove him to the bus station, and put him on a bus to Arizona with $500 in his pocket and the clothes on his back. Before he boarded, I handed him a burner phone with one video file loaded on it. That's the full recording, I told him. Every confession, every detail. You contact our family again, you try to come back, you even think about causing more trouble and this goes viral. Understand? Lucas nodded, barely meeting my eyes. He looked destroyed, hollowed out, like something vital had been carved out of him and thrown away. Good. I watched the bus pull away, its taillights disappearing into the pre-dawn darkness. Then I went home, took a long shower, and tried to sleep. I didn't feel victorious, didn't feel satisfied, just tired, bone-deep tired. At 7 a.m., my doorbell rang. I knew who it would be before I even opened the door. Mom and Dad stood on my porch, and they looked terrible. Mom's eyes were swollen from crying. Dad's face was gray and haggard. They'd probably been up all night, waiting for Lucas to call, trying to figure out where he was. He called us, Mom said without preamble, her voice shaking. From some bus station in Arizona, he said. He said you did something to him, that you kidnapped him, tortured him, forced him to leave. What did you do? I pulled out my phone and played the recording. All of it. Lucas admitting to the gambling, the lies, the fraud with the house, the plan to use my business as collateral for fake loans, his confession about giving Tony's crew my address as a target. Everything. Mom sank down onto my porch, steps like her legs had given out. Dad just stood there, tears streaming down his face, listening to his golden child admit to every terrible thing he'd done. When the recording ended, the silence was deafening. He was going to destroy your business, I said quietly. File for loans in your company's name, rack up debt, and disappear while you dealt with the fallout. I found the applications, Dad. 3 different banks, $200,000 total in fraudulent loans, all using stolen documents from my home office. He planned this for weeks, maybe months. The party was just bad timing. Oh my God, Mom whispered. I paid his debt to Tony, all 45 grand, cash. Lucas is alive, he's safe, and he's starting over somewhere else where he can't hurt any of us anymore. That's more than he deserved. You had no right, Mom said, her voice rising. You had no right to do that, to force him away, to humiliate him. He humiliated himself, I interrupted. For years. And you let him. You enabled every bad decision, every lie, every cruel word he said to me because it was easier than admitting your perfect son was a disaster. Well, now you know. Now everyone knows. He's your brother, Mom said, standing up, her face red with anger. Family doesn't do this to family. You're cruel, vindictive. Get out of my house. What? You heard me. Get out. You're not welcome here anymore. Either of you. Dad grabbed Mom's arm, trying to pull her back, but she wrenched away from him. You can't do this. You can't just cut us off. Watch me, I said, and stepped back inside, closing the door in their faces. Mom pounded on it, screaming, but I walked away, went to the kitchen, made coffee, tried to pretend my hands weren't shaking. Eventually, she stopped. Eventually, they left. And I stood in my perfect house, feeling absolutely nothing. 2 hours later, Mom sent a text. If you don't make this right, I'll tell everyone what you did. I'll ruin your reputation, your business, everything. You'll be the monster who destroyed his own family." I almost laughed. She still didn't get it. I pulled up the edited version of Lucas's confession, the one I'd prepared specifically for this, and sent it to Melissa, my Aunt Julie, my Uncle Ron, and about 15 other key family members. Just Lucas's voice, clear and undeniable, admitting to the gambling, the lies, the fraud with our parents' house, the attempted business loan scam. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing with responses. "Melissa, holy shit. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Aunt Julie, your mother called crying, trying to explain. I told her there's no excuse for what Lucas did or how they enabled him. We're done with their manipulative bullshit. Uncle Ron, I lent Lucas $5,000 last year that he never paid back. He told me it was for a medical emergency. This makes so much sense now." The messages kept coming. Family members I hadn't talked to in years, reaching out, apologizing, sharing their own stories of Lucas borrowing money and never paying it back, of my parents making excuses for him, of the whole toxic dynamic I'd been suffering through for so long. By the end of the day, I had a clearer picture than I'd ever wanted. Lucas had borrowed from almost everyone, probably racking up debts close to $100,000 across the entire family. And Mom and Dad had known, had covered for him, had even helped him hide it. The next morning, I went to my parents' house. They wouldn't answer the door, so I let myself in with the key they'd never asked me to return. They were in the living room, looking small and defeated. "Half the family's cutting you off," I said without preamble. "They know what Lucas did, what you did, all of it. You wanted to threaten my reputation? Fine. But I'm not the one who's going to end up isolated." Mom started to say something, but I kept talking. "I'm changing all my locks. I'm blocking your numbers. You're not welcome in my life anymore. And before you try to guilt trip me or manipulate me like you've been doing my whole life, know that I have the full recordings. Everything," Lucas said. "Everything he admitted to, including how you gave him 80 grand that you couldn't afford and are now going to lose your house over. You want to play victim? Go ahead. But everyone knows the truth now." I left without waiting for a response, drove home, and immediately called a locksmith. New locks on every door, new security system with cameras, new garage door codes. By evening, my house was locked down tight. The texts from Melissa started coming in that night. Mom tried calling me again. I blocked her. Julie did too. So did Ron, and about 10 other people. They're freaking out. Then, Dad's trying to guilt trip everyone, saying you're tearing the family apart. Nobody's buying it. Then, this is wild. I always thought they were just old-fashioned, you know? Didn't realize they were this toxic. I didn't respond. Just read the messages and felt nothing. Maybe relief, maybe exhaustion. I wasn't sure anymore. The next day, I got a call from my attorney about Lucas's vintage car collection, the one I now legally owned thanks to the documents he'd signed. Turns out it was worth more than I thought. Way more. He'd been collecting classic cars since college, storing them in our parents' garage, always talking about how they'd be worth a fortune someday. "We're looking at around $60,000 if you sell through the right channels," my attorney said. "Maybe more if you're patient." I did the math in my head. $45,000 to Tony, $8,500 Lucas owed me in loans, plus interest over 14 months. Call it 10 grand, to be generous. "Sell them," I said. "All of them." "You sure? Some of these are pretty nice. Might be worth hanging on to." "Sell them." It took about 3 weeks, but eventually, every car was gone. A 1967 Mustang, a 1973 Corvette Stingray, a couple of vintage motorcycles Lucas had been babying for years. All sold to collectors who actually appreciated them instead of just seeing them as investments. Final total, $60,000, exactly $14,500 more than what Lucas had cost me, including interest. I kept every penny, didn't feel bad about it for a second. Put it toward a new landscaping project, a botanical garden installation for a tech campus that would probably net me another 6 figures when it was done. 2 months after the party, I got one last text from Melissa. "Just for your information, Mom and Dad officially lost the house. They're moving into a small apartment on the other side of town. Dad tried to ask me for money. I said no. Julie said no. Pretty much everyone said no. They're on their own. Also, heard from a mutual friend that Lucas is working at some restaurant in Phoenix, washing dishes. Karma's a bitch." I read the message twice, then deleted it. Changed my number the next day. Started fresh with a clean slate. No family drama, no toxic relationships, just me and my business and my beautiful house in the hills. I won, they lost, and I kept every single penny. Make sure to click on the screen to watch another story.